This is a third lecture on the meaning of life. We've covered the preliminary considerations and supernaturalism, and now we'll cover nihilism. So nihilism is the view, according to Tom Morris, from a great philosopher, from Philosophy for Dummies, that there is no meaning, significance, or purpose. Nothing of what you do is finally of any importance whatsoever. There is no meaning to life or in life. Very bleak outlook, but hey, just because it's bleak, it doesn't mean it's false. So we want to take a look at it and see if there's, any reason for thinking it's true. You have some nihilists here. I would categorize them as nihilists: Albert Camus and Thomas Nagel. Thomas Nagel being a self-ascribed nihilist. And he says, hey, what do you do about the fact that there is no meaning? And his answer is that you keep mind your own business. You go about your work and ignore the fact that there is no meaning, which I am kind of puzzled about, given that he's a philosopher who cares about living, I would think, cares about living in accordance with the truth. So here's a statement that can give you an idea of what would motivate a nihilist to be a nihilist. And this is a quote by Bertrand Russell, who is not himself a nihilist. And in A Free Man's Worship, he says that man is the product of causes which had no prevision of the end they were achieving, that his origin, his growth, his hopes and fears, his love and his beliefs are but the outcome of accidental collocations of atoms, that no fire, no heroism, no intensity of thought and feeling can preserve an individual life beyond the grave, that all the labors of the ages, all the devotion, all the inspiration, all the noonday brightness of human genius are destined to extinction in the vast death of the solar system, and that the whole temple of man's achievement must inevitably be buried beneath the debris of a universe in ruins. All these things, if not quite beyond dispute, are yet so nearly certain that no philosophy which rejects them can hope to stand. Only within the scaffolding of these truths, only on the firm foundation of unyielding despair can the soul's habitation henceforth be safely built. All right, so Bertrand Russell is an atheist, and he's giving his, sort of atheistic outlook here. I mean, basically, we got here by accident, and we're all going to die, and everything that we've done is going to end up no more, right? So we're a blip, not just a blip, but an accidental blip, and we're going away very soon. And so the nihilist sees this. Bertrand Russell doesn't respond in this way, but the nihilist sees this and says, what is it all for then? Like, it's all meaningless. Like, nothing of what you do, nothing that you do has any ultimate significance, right? And so here are some reasons that reasons for thinking that nihilism is true that aren't necessarily good. I mean, I think they have some holes in them. Number one, nothing we do will matter in a million years from now, so nothing we do now matters. And you can see that in the quote from, or you can see the sort of nihilistic implications in the quote from before, where if we're all going to die, what is it all for? Okay, so in a million years from now, and this is supposing there's no afterlife, in a million years from now, you're not going to be remembered. No one's going to, even the human race might not be here. And so did anything that you did it really matter? And I think this is a mistake, because just because it doesn't matter a million years from now, it doesn't mean it matters not now. So as an analogy, you give someone a sandwich and they eat, they're full, they thank you. 4 hours later, guess what? They're hungry again. Oh my gosh. So does that mean that instead of giving them the sandwich, you could have withheld it and it would have been just as meaningless as if you gave it to them? No, like, you did something for them at that moment. It was temporal, it was temporary, but you still did something for them, even if it went away. Right. So in the same way, your life you're going to die. You're not going to be remembered, but what you do matters now, even so. So just because you're going to die and go away doesn't mean that, you may as well punch old ladies instead of help them across the street. No, it makes a difference even now. Okay. So, I mean, that's my thought there, so you can take that or leave it. But I would think that number one, that sort of reasoning isn't very convincing. How about two? We are tiny specks in the infinite vastness of the universe. Our lives are mere instants, even on a geological timescale, let alone a cosmic one. Thus, our lives are meaningless. So this one doesn't have to do with the fact that we won't be remembered eventually, but it has to do with the fact that our lives are short and that we are actually small compared to the universe. So space and time. Our lives are short and we're very small. Now, I think that if we're small, that has nothing to do with our significance. So our significance has to do with the fact that we're persons, and persons are valuable no matter their size. Like as Horton says, from Horton Hears a Who, a person is a person no matter how small, right? And so whether you're 5 foot tall, whether you're 6 foot tall, whether you're an infant, you're still a person, and therefore you're still valuable intrinsically, even if there are certain instrumental goods that you can't acquire because of your size, right? Or that you can't bring about because of your size. Okay, so just because you're small, it doesn't mean you're insignificant. What about space? No, sorry, that was space. What about time? If our lives are short, does that mean they're meaningless? Well, here I think the nihilist has something of a point, that the shorter your life is, the less potential there is for your life to be impactful. So all things being equal, the person who lives 60 years has more potential for bringing value, significance to the world than the person who lives 30 years. Okay, so it doesn't always follow. Someone might have a great impact in 30 years, and the person who lives 60 years might be a blob on a couch, right, watching Netflix. So it doesn't always follow that the longer you live, the more significant your life is, but at least there's that potential. And then what about eternity? Someone might say, well, if you can live eternally, then your life has the utmost meaning, something like that. Well, potentially it does, but you're going to have to ask, what is that eternal life like? What's the quality of that life? Is it good or not? Okay, so there you go. Those are some common reasons for nihilism, and they're more or less not very good. And so that's the view of nihilism that it's basically an atheistic outlook, but I would say not all atheists are nihilists. That's definitely true. Although I would think that there aren't many nihilists who are theists, believers in God. It's not a very natural sort of pairing, whereas atheism and nihilism is a pretty natural pairing.